Starting off, I want to give a strong spoiler warning to all upcoming and new content in the Jujutsu Kaisen manga. While Jujutsu Kaisen keeps traumatizing its fans, they still somehow find a way to make memes out of it to relieve the pain. Some people like to believe that Delulu is the best Sululu, hence they think that Gojo, named Kit Kat online affectionately, can always come back to One Piece. Well, technically he has, but again, others like to make memes out of everything and try to move on. Before You Are My Special became a meme, you must have somehow seen people how they mock Sukuna and Megumi. We all noticed in season 1 that Sukuna seems really interested in Megumi, but not everyone knows why that is, if that is actually true. Let's clarify this. Sukuna was in fact interested in Megumi far sooner, and to be precise, Sukuna was interested in Megumi's body for a very specific reason that others may not exactly know or be aware of. That may sound really wrong, but Sukuna doesn't care after all. He is the strongest one, but the reason he's interested in Megumi's body is because of its high potential. He wants Megumi to be his vessel, and spoiler alert, he does get it. Let me explain. Well, first, welcome back to another video, everyone. If you're enjoying the content, please like, comment, and share, and subscribe. We're almost at 1,000. Let's get there soon. Really helps the channel out. Again, my name is TK. Let's get into some anime. What made Sukuna's desire to have Megumi's body more obvious was how differently he treated Megumi and Yuji. Sukuna literally bullied Yuji at every chance he got. Despite that, Yuji deserves a lot more praise for being the only one capable of suppressing Sukuna. Somehow Yuji always would get his body back, and no matter how hard Sukuna tries, he knows that he will have to return control. We saw in the Shibuya arc that even after Jogo fed him 10 more fingers, Sukuna still had to return the body to Yuji after wreaking havoc. Poor Yuji got You Are My Special once he got back. For Sukuna, Yuji is like the main dish that he enjoys ripping the most. For others, he would just kill them and get it over with, but not with Yuji. He always wants to make sure that Yuji gets both physically and mentally tormented. Maybe the reason Yuji is still alive is because Sukuna wants Yuji to become strong enough so he can enjoy killing him more. Or maybe he's just saving him for the last. Either way, Sukuna never failed to mess with Yuji. On the other hand, we have seen Sukuna show curiosity and interest in Megumi because he felt something about him. Before weird ideas pop up in your head and you start to ship Megumi and Sukuna, let's discuss Megumi first. If you are caught up in the latest episodes of Jujutsu Kaisen, you must have seen in the flashback of the time when Gojo told Megumi in episode 41 that the Gojo clan and Zenin clan are enemies of each other since the Edo or Keicho era because the head of the families of both clans fought each other and both died as a result. What's surprising is that the head of the Gojo clan at the time was also a limitless curse technique user with the 6 eyes, while the head of the Zenin clan had the same technique as Megumi's 10 shadows technique. That means someday, Megumi can become a sorcerer who can even defeat the mighty Gojo Satoru. No one except for Gojo and Megumi knows about it, and Sukuna is the only one who sensed it. Sukuna has been waiting for a long time to take over a sorcerer's body and resurrect himself into the modern world. At first, when Yuji ate one of his fingers, Sukuna thought that he finally got that chance, but later, he realized that Yuji was a different kind of beast. Yuji is totally opposite of what Sukuna desired for 2 reasons. 1, his mentality is so strong that he never gives up his complete control of his body, and Sukuna is always on a timer. 2, Sukuna wanted a body with some interesting power. It doesn't have to be strong because Sukuna can make up for the strength deficiency, but a technique that he might be able to enjoy. Yuji, as we have seen, is still under development, and he clearly has no flashy technique of his own. Well, not at the current point in the anime anyways. Just a few months before, Yuji didn't even have an idea about the Jujutsu world, and now he's getting traumatized in every way possible in every episode throughout the manga. In the very same episode, Sukuna finds out about Megumi's 10 shadows technique, so that's when he decides that Megumi is going to be his next toy. Despite such a strong technique, Megumi is not strong enough to suppress Sukuna as Yuji did. Let's have a look at Megumi's abilities before digging into his 10 shadows. If we talk about potential-wise, Megumi could have been another Yuta, but Gege decided to make him strong, only for Sukuna to enjoy those abilities. Megumi is currently a grade 2 Jujutsu sorcerer and a first-year student at Tokyo Jujutsu High, along with Yuji and Nobara. Take a brief moment to pay your respect to Nobara. She did deserve better. Oh, and being a deluded fan myself, Nobara might have been able to return since her death hasn't been confirmed yet. So we'll see if she can get the run back on Sukuna. Megumi is the stepbrother of Megumi Fushiguro, who will be seen in the Culling Game arc, and as the son of Toji Fushiguro, Megumi is a descendant of the Zenin clan. Being the only son of Toji Fushiguro is something worthy of bragging about, as Toji and Sukuna are the only two people to defeat Gojo Satoru. After Toji's death, Gojo became Megumi's new daddy, so he has been around some really strong people. Overall, Megumi is really skilled, as Gojo thinks really highly of him and may also commended him as a genius for starting as a grade 2 sorcerer. He's an exceptionally focused person with highly disciplined combat abilities. Out of all of Gojo's students, Megumi is the most level-headed and clever in his fighting approach. He can remain calm in the most dire situations, but he's still a bit crazy for trying to summon Mahoraga for every nobody enemy. Megumi's tactical intellect isn't talked about much, even though he's a young genius whose focus is to outwit his opponent rather than overpowering them. Using his advanced deduction skills, Megumi always thinks of some clever way to deal with his enemies. We saw an example of this in the Shibuya arc too. When fighting alongside Yuji, Megumi was able to determine the enemy's curse technique easily and come up with a plan that will grant them victory with the least amount of effort. Even inside Dagon's domain, Megumi clearly created a hole instead of trying to overtake it, to nullify Dagon's sure hit effect. Most of the Shikigami users tend to fight while keeping a safe distance, but not Megumi. He's an expert in hand-to-hand combat, so he's never afraid to get in close to hit his opponents, even if the opponent is the great Sukuna himself. His skills come from years of practice, so he's confident in them. Megumi is also an expert in using weapons, and he was trained by the best person around to wield weapons, Maki. As Megumi can keep cursed tools in his shadows, he's capable of swapping out multiple weapons for himself at any time. While training with Maki, he received a pole arm to practice with, followed by different weapons that Maki taught him. He used Wind Tonfa during the Goodwill event, where he reinforced it with curse energy, and thankfully used them to deflect arrows and fight on even terms with Kamo. Megumi's go-to curse tool was originally a single-handed sword with a jet black blade, but it was shattered by the Finger Bearer curse. He also had a special grade tool called Playful Cloud that embodies pure solid power. Megumi kept it in his shadow on Maki's request, and we saw them use it against Hanami. Megumi is also really tough for a person like him. He has high pain tolerance, exceptional stamina, and really impressive durability. Even when he was against Todo in Season 1, someone other than him might not have survived all those hits. He also suffered a beatdown from Sukuna, but in both the cases, Megumi never passed out and refused to give up. If we talk about Megumi's cursed energy, he has a vast volume of cursed energy that is just below a special grade sorcerer. Megumi not only summons different Shikigami, but also reinforces his body with cursed energy during battles. He showed immense reserves of cursed energy in long battles while rarely fully exhausting himself. He can also summon up to 3 Shikigami at the same time. When against Sukuna in the Detention Center, Megumi's cursed energy was running low after summoning several Shikigami, but he still kept enough energy reserved to summon Mahoraga if needed. To give a precise idea, Megumi is seen to summon Shikigami both before and after casting his domain, without expending himself completely. Even after using Max Elephant, which he only uses alone because of the high consumption of cursed energy, Megumi had enough to still cast in his domain. Megumi's domain, Chimera Shadow Guard, floods the area with fluid shadows that can rapidly produce any Shikigami he desires. His domain is still incomplete and doesn't grant him a sure hit effect yet, but his 10 Shadows technique improves to 110% of his potential. Through this domain, he can also produce clones of himself from the shadows as well as his Shikigami. Megumi isn't yet able to produce a barrier around his domain, so must overlap an indoor space to forcibly enclose the domain and trap his target inside. Finally, let's discuss Megumi's technique, which even the great Sukuna found amusing. The technique that could make him stronger than Gojo Satoru. The 10 Shadows technique is passed down in the Zenin family, which allows him to summon up to 10 potential Shikigami using his shadows as an intermediary. It grants him overall manipulation of shadows, which means he can hide or store objects within his shadows. One of the 10 Shadows is Round Deer that doesn't have much combat ability, but it is a very valuable Shikigami, as it is the only one that can project reverse cursed energy. Reverse cursed energy can be used to heal the user itself or others. We'll get to see this Round Deer only once in the Shujuku Showdown of Gojo vs Sukuna. Megumi wasn't able to unlock this Shikigami. We have already seen divine dogs that are twin canine Shikigami with powerful noses for tracking. They have lethal fangs and claws to devour other curses. Unfortunately, the white dog was destroyed by the Finger Bearer curse, so his abilities were inherited by his black twin. Once the Shikigami is destroyed, it cannot be summoned again, but his abilities get transferred. This brings us to Divine Dog Totality, which is the improved version of the Black Divine Dog after it got incorporated with the powers of his fallen twin. Totality is strong enough to take on special grade curses, making it Megumi's strongest offensive Shikigami. Next up is Nu, a winged Shikigami that can carry people for short distances. We have seen Megumi using Nu for scouting or to support another Shikigami, with its mobility. Megumi also possesses a gigantic snake called the Great Serpent that is used to ensnare its targets. It was capable of destroying low-level curses and only managed to bind Sukuna momentarily before being destroyed. We still don't know which Shikigami inherited the Great Serpent's powers. Next up is Gamma, a large toe Shikigami with a large, long, yet powerful tongue that can grab people through the air and pull them. It can be used to pull Megumi's allies to safety and even carry a whole person in his mouth, as you saw it carrying Nobara. The Well's Unknown Abyss is an extension technique that allows Megumi to combine Nu and Gamma to summon loads of winged toes to support him in battle. If these winged toes get destroyed, Megumi can still summon both Nu and Toad, so they are totally expendable. Rapid Escape is another one of Megumi's 10 shadows that we saw in the Shibuya arc. It's a swarm of ragged Shikigami that can be served as a distraction or to help Megumi figure out the enemy's abilities. Similar to Well's Unknown Abyss, Megumi can spawn these rabbits as many times as he wants. Max Elephant is an elephant Shikigami that consumes a lot of cursed energy and has the ability to produce a massive volume of water from its trunk. Its weight can also be used for offensive strikes. Another Shikigami that Megumi failed to tame is Piercing Ox, which will also debut under Sukuna. It only has one purpose: to charge the enemies with brute force, and with each strike, the force increases. Its biggest weakness is that it can only charge in straight lines. And finally, the strongest shadow that throughout history, no user of 10 shadows has ever been able to tame. The name is a bit long, so brace yourself. 8-handled, sword divergent, Scylla Divine General Mahoraga. Mahoraga has probably been one of the most popular characters on social media in the past 6 months, even only being technically a side support character. As Megumi couldn't tame it, whenever he recited, "With this treasure I summon Mahoraga," bro was calling for his own death. This muscular humanoid with 4 wings protruding from his eye sockets is what impressed Sukuna the most. A large 8-handled wheel hovers above his head and rotates as Mahoraga responds to new stimuli, such as attacks and damage. This divine general has the ability to adapt to any and all kinds of phenomena. If it is injured by some attack, it will turn, allowing it to adapt. If Mahoraga faces the same attack again, it will counter and break through the opponent's defense as it becomes adaptable to it. It also wields the sword of extermination that is enveloped in positive curse energy, so one slash is enough to deal with most curses. As no one has been able to tame Mahoraga, Megumi has been keeping it as his trump card. Mahoraga would guarantee Megumi a victory by killing his enemy and of course killing Megumi as well. When he summoned Mahoraga in the Shibuya arc, a single strike from Mahoraga was enough to put Megumi in a state of suspended death until the ritual ended. However, Sukuna arrived and healed Megumi. Sukuna was really impressed with Mahoraga adapted to his techniques and was able to send Sukuna crashing through numerous buildings using cursed energy rather than positive energy. Mahoraga's adaptability is not limited to a few specific moves, instead all techniques. To counter Mahoraga's rapid regeneration, it must be defeated by an attack that he hasn't adapted to yet. Sukuna won the fight using Malevolent Shrine to slash Mahoraga before finishing off with his powerful flaming divine arrow. Sukuna will become the only sorcerer to have ever been able to tame Mahoraga, and it was Mahoraga who delivered the final blow to Gojo in the Shinjuku Showdown. Would Sukuna still have won if he didn't have Mahoraga? Guess we will never know. But as I said in the beginning, he still wanted someone with an interesting ability, but overall this is the reason why he needed Megumi once he found about his true potential: Gojo and Mahoraga. Seeing the extent of Gojo's abilities through Yuji made Sukuna quickly realize that even at full strength, he would not be able to defeat Gojo easily unless he had a trump card of his own, the very same one that Megumi utilized: Mahoraga. In the end, this was the true reason he needed Megumi's body: Gojo. It was always all about Gojo. That potential that Sukuna sensed early on and was able to confirm in the Shibuya arc was his golden ticket to defeating Gojo and having no one stand in his way. And in the end, he did succeed. Using Mahoraga's adaptation, while using Megumi's soul as the bearer of the adaptation, Sukuna was able to train Mahoraga to constantly adapt to Gojo's infinity, eventually bypassing it somehow. The world-cutting slash that Sukuna was able to pull off thanks to copying Mahoraga's model allowed Sukuna the ability to cut the space that Gojo was in himself, rather than having an attack travel through the air, which would have been stopped by Gojo's infinity. So by targeting the space that Gojo was in rather than targeting Gojo himself, Sukuna was able to bypass Gojo's infinity, killing the strongest sorcerer of the era. Sukuna in this sense was extremely smart because he played the long game and bided his time. Megumi's body truly came in handy. Well, everyone, what do you think? How do you like Megumi's character, and do you think that everything that has plays out so far has played out as it should have? Let's talk about it in the comments below. If you enjoyed the content, please like, comment, and subscribe. We're almost at 1,000 subscribers, and your help is greatly appreciated. My name is TK. See you next time.
挽回千本桜影吉